Hi, I'm Kenneth Wajda. I'm a professional photographer here in Colorado. Welcome to another one of my photography talks. So today I'm going to talk about a really difficult type of photograph to make. And it's not astrophotography, it's not something underwater, it's dusk. I find it's really hard to find a subject that really looks good at dusk. I remember there was a painter who painted a night scene of the town of Frenchtown, New Jersey years ago. And they painted it at dusk, and it looked mostly dark, and it had just a little bit of store light, and it was such a beautiful tone. And I always thought, you don't often see photographs with that dark, dark tone, and just a little bit of color, a little bit of day left. And I can think of two photographs that I have that kind of approach that. One is why I'm talking about this, because I just made one. I was in Omaha, and I'm driving along, and I found this one stretch that felt like, now this feels like dusk. And I haven't seen it in a long time, not like that. Or not with a subject that was worthy of photographing it. It's not just a sunset, it's dusk. Most of the photo is dark, and the lights are coming on, and most of the sky is almost dark. That was a really fun one to find. I'm actually shooting out the car window as I'm driving because I'm coming into Omaha. I was on my way back from the Washington trip I had driven out. And it was a really beautiful, beautiful, dark scene. And I can think of one other photo. I was on I-70 probably a year ago, and I was shooting out the car at I shoot out the car a lot. I was shooting out the car at a station wagon driving by, I think it was, and it was like a vehicle I didn't recognize. And I was really just trying to get a photo of it to see, what is that? But because it was so dark, and because the tones are kind of these deep blues, that one is another one that feels like dusk. But I don't see a lot of dusk that really works well. And I find myself challenged to even find things like that. And when I find it, I remember that station wagon, I was a little bit excited to see that I liked the tone of it. Well, the same thing with this photo from Omaha. I'll put it in the links below. You can see both of them. And I think that that's one of those challenges. It's like, it can't look like, just underexposed, and it can't look like you just darkened it, and it certainly can't be exposed and then brought up in Lightroom and then it looks like a daytime. It has to have enough darkness built into it, and probably enough of the street lights and the store lights and car lights, things that also communicate what is night. There's an old filmmaking trick called day for night, and they used to photograph or film a movie scene with color film shot at daytime. They would put a heavy blue filter over the lens, and they would turn the lights on, put really bright lights inside the houses, really bright lights to make sure the headlights are all on, and all the things that would communicate night, they would turn up as bright as they could. And then they just would avoid shooting the sky. And then if all the factors that say what night looks like are present, and you filter it dark blue, you can make it feel like it's night. In a sense, that's what I found at Omaha. And it's what I found in that scene driving on I-70. But I'd be curious, have you ever seen any really good dusk shots? I think that's one of the few shots that I don't see much. Of all the photos that we're inundated with, that's one photo I don't see. And you'd certainly get enough photos out my car window. I can't help it. The car I'm driving along, and that, see, I don't really photograph things that are like I'm going out to photograph. I photograph when something strikes me. And sometimes it's when I'm driving. And the Nikon is always right next to me on the car seat with that 20 on, and I can usually push it out the window and back button focus, and I have a shot. And so I usually set it like I know what the light is. I'm kind of like always keeping it ready to go. Aperture priority mode, and then out the window. There I go. But I'm really safe. I really am. All right, that's today's photography talk. Shooting dusk at night. Be careful if you're driving and shooting. If you're enjoying these, hit the subscribe button. If you can support, hit the Patreon. I'd like to see some of your photos. Here's the good light, even some dark light.